So I understand, like, you're writing your second book, or no, you're getting ready to write your third book. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah. I am.
I
I just published, it's like I finished the second book, the sequel in the Sine Curve of Aeons trilogy, and then I published it and then I went on a 2 week vacation. And so it was like I didn't really even have time to sort of like tell that many people or get the word out there. And then I was banned from Facebook, which was one of my main, that's where people interact with me mostly. So so I just got back on Facebook. I'm back from my trip and I've just sort of started trying to make sure people know about it.
mhm.
So thanks for
I
bringing it up.
Yeah, no problem. From what I understand, you're kind of a pantser. I don't know if you know what a pantser is.
I don't like I
Um,
pants people. I pull their pants down.
well, that would be one form of pantser. No, it's like it's in terms of writing. I did my first one of my first stories this way, but you're just writing and you don't know where you're going. You're just flying by the seat of your pants, and when you get there, you get there.
Yeah, I would say that does describe my writing style, but it's interesting because if I don't, so like if something will like hit me, it'll like appear in my head almost fully formed, but I don't see the details of it, but I can like feel the outline of it and the weight of it, and then I can go like spew that onto paper. And it's
Okay, then.
often really beautiful, right? But if I sit down and I'm like, I'm going to write a thing, I can do it. I have the technical ability. I have the understanding of form and function and structure and all of that. So I can do it, but then I read that and I'm like, that's not good. Like, so I think like if I don't have that sort of inspiration, whatever I create it's a thing. It's okay, but it's like it's not quality.
Yeah, I myself like form almost fully fleshed out stories in my head. Like, it's funny because how is it like the best Hollywood movies I've been seeing lately are the ones in my head?
Yeah. Well, you've always been like a narrative expert almost. Like you're just really immersed in that world. It's like you study it, you live it, you watch it, and you write it. So
Yeah.
I can see that how you're in your brain you can like have the whole thing sort of laid out. Whereas I'm more like, oh, this thing just came into my mind. Let me start like writing and see what happens and see where it goes. So yeah, I guess I am a pantser.
Yeah. I'm sort of a, what's the term, planter. Like it's a cross between a planner and a pantser.
Perfect. Be right in the
Yeah.
middle. That's a good
Yeah.
mix.
Um, I again like I guess I should like announce the Whidbeyverse. I guess
What's the Whidbeyverse?
it's something I've been working on for about 15 to 16 years now. I'm about to unveil the first part of it.
Well, and
It's like
everyone listening should know first off, in case they don't know, that we're both from Whidbey Island, and
right,
that's why we know each other.
right, and that's kind of the issue where I kind of came up with it. Used to go to a lot of parties on Whidbey Island, and like I'd see a lot of people I knew, like you, and I'd see a lot of people I didn't know. And I'm like, who are these people I don't know? They must be friends of friends, but who are they? What are their stories? What are their histories? And ultimately, what I realized is like there's like a whole opportunity to explore that. We could go back to, well, I go back pretty much to dinosaur times, and then I like get to the modern age, and there's a phone going off, but I'm not answering it yet. But
They can wait.
yeah, I spend a good deal of time on Whidbey Island, hence the term the Whidbeyverse. But like, you go back and like again, like you've got the Crusades, like you've got Sir Robin serving in the Crusades, and like it's just like a lot of adventures with that character. But like the cool thing is, it goes all the way to Whidbey Island in terms of like 2006 to about 2020.
Wow. The
And
time that
then,
I wasn't there,
yeah, I know. Um,
basically.
it goes all the way to about 2046 and possibly beyond. But
Ooh,
yeah,
futuristic.
I I remember in middle school I was watching Star Wars and Starship Troopers, and was like, I want to create like a Starship Troopers Star Wars type story, but I don't know what to do. And ultimately, while I was spending decades creating it in my head, I guess like the thing I had to do is go backwards to figure out how to go forwards.
Yes. Okay, so they say start at the end, but then you go back and you fill in how you got from here to here, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Whidbey Island. I don't know if other people, because I mean, we grew up there, so I don't know how other people feel about their hometowns. But so far in my life, I have not found people who feel like their hometowns were significant in some way. They're just like, well, that's just where I lived. Like I love it, or I'm like attached to it, but it's not. It's just a place, you know. But I feel like everyone who lives on Whidbey Island, and especially people who grew up there, know that it's like a weird place. Like there's just so, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's like a vortex or like a portal, or if it just has like weird energy, or if there's, you know, I don't know. But like Whidbey is a weird place. Like so many crazy things happen there to so many people. It's almost like the Bermuda Triangle, but not. It's like things don't disappear, but just weird shit happens. There's like a time rift or something. I don't know what it is, but just people, everyone we grew up with, I feel like has really weird stories and experiences, and they all go back to Whidbey Island. And we also all have this weird thing about the ferry. Mm-hmm. Like, do you have dreams and nightmares about the ferry?
I have dreams and nightmares that I'm back in South Whidbey High.
Yeah, I have that too. I'm like, I already graduated. Why do I have to take this class again, Miss Kramer?
Well, I just like have large tests and years worth of homework to catch up on.
Like, oh shit, why am I so behind?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have fairy dreams? You're like the only person I've met then. Everybody has fairy dreams, and we ride the ferry a lot. It's an island, but they're always usually tinged in nightmare somehow. Like they're like unsettling. They're never good. You're never on the ferry and like happy. You're like on the ferry and it's sinking, or it's on fire, or like it's made of sticks.
I had a fairy dream that I was on the ferry, and this was based off an actual incident. I have like this dream that I'm in the car with my family, and we're at the very back of the ferry, and like we fall off into the water. Like,
yeah,
that almost happened to us once.
Oh wow!
Like, so the fact I dreamt about it actually happening, like
that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that dream, but it's never almost happened to me. But I've always, every time I'm at the back there, I'm like really paranoid. I'm like, I'm gonna fall off the boat. Now, people who don't ride ferries and are watching are like, what the hell are they talking about?
So,
yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, I've even had dreams of like people like murdering me on the ferry boat. Like, I'm just like, why the ferry? Why is it so? I get symbolically and like Jungian sort of psychology, it's the water is your subconscious, and so supposedly there's like a lot of scary things there, and so if you're having dreams about boats sinking into it and all that, then it's you being scared of what's sort of hidden underneath in your psyche. But I'm like, it doesn't really explain it all for me, because I feel like I've deep dove into my own psyche, and I don't think that's what my fairy nightmares are about.
I actually have dove deep into my psyche one Sunday. I kind of fell asleep Saturday night, and I was pretty much asleep pretty much all of Sunday, and then like Monday happens, and like I was deep into my dream, deeper into my mind than I'd ever been, and like as I was floating through the darkness, I came across this golden light, and I was asking like this really important question, like, why are we here?
Yeah.
And, you know, it was about to answer me. I was like so deep in my psyche, it was about to answer me. Then I hear this knocking, and I wake up. And
no!
I'm like, no!
You asshole! He's like, how could I know? That's funny.
I don't know if I can get that deep to my psyche again. Who knows?
I'm sure you can if you've done it once. You could even maybe do it like while awake, you know, in meditation or something.
Yeah.
But
I enjoy meditation. I don't know if like this really helps, but I find that meditating with certain music really helps.
Yes.
Yeah. I think my grandfather, Jay Welch, was like internationally famous. Like he had this class, and I think it's on YouTube somewhere. I'm trying to find it. Like I just have to type in Jay Welch and find his channel and subscribe.
Yeah.
I know, it's like his grandson and you're not subscribed. Anyway, he has this class, and he says like music is the language of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
And I actually found that so inspiring, I kind of put it into my magic system in the Whidbeyverse. Like,
that's awesome.
I also kind of put like the mathematics and universality of the rectangle into the Whidbeyverse as well. And,
I love it.
Yeah.
It'll be like an esoteric tome for anyone who dives into it, because you're just like going to have all that stuff hidden and embedded within it.
Well, you'd have to read all of it to get it, or just listen to some of my podcasts.
Yeah, are you going to do like audiobook sort of versions of it?
I am hoping for Assassin of the Cross to get like a wide variety of friends and some voice actors. Yeah.
That'd be fun. Do you know Neil Gaiman? Like as an author?
I've read some of his stuff. Like I've read one thing of his, A Study in Emerald. It's part of Shadows Over Baker Street. Sherlock Holmes meets H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, cool.
I thought it was a fun story. I've seen some of the movies he's written. I own the Beowulf remake by Robert Zemeckis. It's not my favorite Beowulf.
Yeah.
And, he wrote that, and I also saw Mirror Mask, which I thought was definitely a good addition to both Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal.
Oh, I never saw that. That sounds good. Well, I love him. Everything he does is awesome. But we just, I went on my road trip. We were listening to The Sandman, and it's an audiobook adaptation of his graphic novel, The Sandman, which is this huge, like, epic graphic novel. I don't even know how many, like, books there are in this series, but you're kind of like, how could a graphic novel be an audiobook? Like, it's all visual. Like, this is going to suck, you know? But it was amazing because they had all these different voice actors for every character. And, you know, in a traditional audiobook, you have the one person, and they're usually pretty good at doing different voices, but it wouldn't be as immersive as if they did it this way. And then they also have sound effects, and it's just like an old audio drama, which makes it a lot more engaging and sort of like it's like the graphic novel of audio. So it was really, really cool, and it was really well done. And that would be a fun way to do any book, I think. Like I did an audiobook of Sine Curve of Aeons, and it's available on my Subscribestar, and I need to put it all together into one file so people can buy it. But I'm not a voice actor, you know, and my audio is pretty good, but it's not studio quality because I'm not a voice actor. So it's cool if you want to listen to it instead of read it. A lot of people are auditory and they don't want to read, they want to listen. But I wish that I could have like a friend who could just do it for free. I don't have $800 to pay someone to do it, you know?
Yeah, I may, but I'm getting like a lot of friends together. The way I see it, like, the good guys in the book, they have American accents. The bad guys in the book, well, a lot of them have British accents.
The classic struggle.
Also, like the fact, like, pretty much all of the women in the book also have British accents. So, like, the bad guys think they should be with the women because they both have the same accent, but the women want to be with the American accent guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just...
American exceptionalism lives on.
Well, kind of. The thing is, if you go back that far, you probably wouldn't be able to understand them, but like the English definitely spoke with an American accent back then. It wasn't like until they had a certain king that had a speech impediment that they all started adopting the accent to mimic him.
No way.
What?
That's I always think about accents. I'm like, how does it start? Like, why is it, you know, and people always say the Northwest has no accent. And I'm like, well,
that's true. That's true. Like, that's our accent. We don't have one.
But isn't that an accent? I mean, what does it mean to have no accent?
Well, that's kind of an accent right there.
That's why I'm like, okay, I guess it's like the least remarkable accent, or the least, like, has the least markers or something. I don't know. I don't know, man.
I am hoping to continue in terms of my plans, but I just kind of have like two friends from college. Again, like, I wouldn't necessarily call them Muslim, but I wouldn't call them like, you know,
not
apostate. Yeah, I'm thinking of getting them, and it's like, guys, you know, I have like all these great characters. You know, I was wondering if you could, like, you know, voice some of the opposing side, and if you want to, you can voice some of the Crusaders or any of the other characters. Like, you know, as long as they have like American accents like you can voice them.
Dude, it'd be rad to get like somebody with like a heavy Middle Eastern accent to just do my whole book. Like, just inexplicably, there's just a heavy Middle Eastern accent throughout the whole entire audiobook.
I actually have a character. It's actually a historical character, Saif ad-Din, and I have him like coming out, and I describe him in detail, and then at the end I just say, and he has the devil's charisma. And like I wrote that character specifically for my friend Voice. He did this. He did this video in college where he was playing Jack Nicholson in The Shining, where he's like in the bar selling his soul for a drink, and like he was doing it in a different genre than like what The Shining was. That was our assignment, and like he was so freaking charismatic. I swear he actually did have the devil's charisma. So it's like I need him to play this character in the.
You're like, play this character, but keep your whole deal with the devil out of here.
Yeah.
I did look into doing like hiring people for a professional audiobook. But yeah, it was like $800, and that was the cheapest that I could find. So I'm like, oh well, I guess I'll keep doing my own.
So it's like I have like several books I'm going to do, much like you. I'm pretty sure you have several books out already.
I have the 2 in the series so far in the trilogy, and then so the third one's coming, and then that will be the trilogy, the Sine Curve of Aeons trilogy. So I've got Sine Curve of Aeons Vitalis is technically book 1, and I have Earth, A Trough in Time is book 2. But you can read them in any order, which is awesome. And Bonnie, actually, I think, who is watching right now, actually has read only book 2 and not book 1, and so she can attest that it's true. You don't have to read them in order. And then, so that'll be the trilogy. I have a memoir out about my time teaching on a Native American reservation. And it's just short little, like vignettes, sort of. And they're very irreverent and funny, and also deeply sad and touching sometimes. But that's a fun little short book. And then I have a book of poetry that I barely count, because it's like I just write poems throughout my life. So all I have to do is gather them up every once in a while. I'm like, there's another book. And so I don't know. You can count it as a book because it is a book, but it's like not a book.
I have been spending like 15 years writing well over 1,000 pages of story just to get this first book out.
Dude, and then I think you'll find what I find is you're like, I'm done. And you'll like publish it in some way, and then instantly you're like, oh God, here's this thing that I have to change and have to fix. And then you'll do that. And by the time you're like done sort of re-editing it and you publish it, you're like, okay, but now there's all this other stuff, because you spent so long that, your skills have improved by the end. And so the beginning, or the middle or whatever part you did farthest back, like doesn't have as high. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not as well done as like the end. So you have to like go back through and like do it. But then by the time you do that, like the same thing is true. They say, and I think this is true, that art is never finished. It's just abandoned.
Well, you can ask George Lucas about that. He'd agree.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I kind of agree with him there too, and you. It's like you keep wanting to make changes, and like as the artist, I think you have that right. But eventually, the thing is, like you want to keep the other versions out that have been published. So like,
I have not done that. My first Sine Curve of Aeons Vitalis is almost twice as long as the one that you can get now. And the one that you can get now is still pretty long. But I was like, there was just so much in there. It was my first book, so I didn't understand yet that there's so much in there that I needed to write so that I understood it, but no one else ever needs to know. Like, it's just like details, and it doesn't directly affect the plot. It's like some character development, but there's not any characteristics in there you wouldn't already get from other parts that are more important. And so I just cut out like so much of it. So you can't get the original. And in fact, my computer crapped out at the same time as my backups crapped out, and I lost 16 years worth of all of my writing and all of my photography. And yeah, it was the worst thing ever.
I hate that. Like I've got like several hard drives that people that were handling them, like they just like dropped them on the frickin' stone concrete. I'm like, no,
like, that's my whole life.
I have several hard drives full of footage that I need to find somebody to pull that footage, like for me to extract it if it's possible, as much footage as possible.
I kept the broken hard drive. Mm-hmm. It's so ridiculous. This hard drive actually has this, it's a known problem now, and so they don't make them anymore, but I didn't know that. Obviously, nobody did when we bought it, and it's password protected, the hard drive is. Mm-hmm. But at some point, inexplicably, the password just stops working, and there's no way to get past it. And the only way to get past it, maybe, if someone skilled enough can do it without fucking it up, is to resolder that, like to bypass physically the password encryption. And so you could hire someone to do it, but it's probably going to cost you like $500, and it might not work. So I'm like, I can't afford $500 for something that might not work. So I have the hard drive still just in case someday I am like filthy rich and I can be like, yeah, give it a try. And then suddenly I would have access to that original Sign Curve Advance, as well as every photograph I've ever taken, you know, and all the things I've ever written that I didn't publish somewhere. And I was just glad that I had published those, that, you know, those books that I just listed, because I now have them because of that. I wouldn't have them otherwise. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I cried for days and days. I was just like, there's no getting around this. It just sucks.
It's funny because my book nearly got into an indefinite delay. You know why?
Why?
Like, I had the file pulled up on my computer and my cat, Big Jake, was walking across my keyboard. Yeah, Big Jake. He's walking across my keyboard and I'm going to my computer and it's like, do you want to delete Assassin of the Cross permanently? I'm like, no! I was about to delay my book indefinitely.
The cat was going to teach you a lesson in impermanence. You know, this just reminds me of this, so I have to tell this story. You know Elliot very well.
Yeah,
okay,
we used to be roommates.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, he, I don't know if you remember when he went to somewhere like Vermont, I don't know, to some sort of awesome school for artists. And anybody who doesn't know Elliot, he's an absolute genius, an amazing artist. One of those people who like, you're kind of like, how did you even come to Earth? Like, he's just awesome. So he went there and he already was so great in so many different types of art. He's like, I'll just try glass blowing. And he learned some glass blowing and he made, you know, a couple things. And one of the best thing that he made, the most intricate, the most delicate, the most amazing thing he made was this glass dragon. And it was like beautiful. Like it looked exactly like a dragon and it was glass blowing. This is how he created it.
I remember that. I think I remember that. That was amazing.
It was gorgeous. So I went over to his house and we were, I don't know, whatever we were doing. And he had just gotten back, you know, so we were hanging out. And he's like showing me all this stuff that he did while he was away at the art place. And I was like, oh, it's so cool. And then he's like, and this is like the prize or whatever. And he like hands me the dragon and I fucking dropped it.
So you're the one that did that.
That was me.
Oh, God.
I was like crying and I was like, oh my God. He's like laughing because that's Elliot. He's like laughing and he's like, that's the impermanence of life. And I was like, you don't even fucking care. I'm like crying. A beautiful dragon is gone. And he's like, ha ha ha. I'm like, dude, you are the Buddha.
I'm going to reveal something I haven't revealed like online or publicly or anything, not even on my author page on Facebook, but Robin or Sir Robin, I based him off of Elliot. Like, and the thing is, like, the people who have read the book and actually met Elliot, it's like, holy crap, he is Robin. It's like, I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird because my boyfriend now has this really one of his most prized artistic projects he's worked on. He's a musician and a visual artist, and one of his most prized musical projects he worked on with this artist called Felix Fast Forward. My boyfriend is known as the Unknown. His name is Johnny Larson or Johnny Bravado in real life and in, you know, his profiles and whatnot. So anyway, this project, he describes working with this guy, Felix, and eventually like he's describing him more and more. And I'm like, dude, it's Elliot. It's Elliot in another body. It's another person that's like as genius and as sort of like, you know, Elliot just like flits about in and out of people's lives. And, you know, like, I don't know. I was just like, dude, how did you have an Elliot too? We both have an Elliot. That's amazing. It's amazing that Elliot exists in at least one other place on this planet at this time.
No, right? I don't really live stream, and I should be posting more videos more often, but like I do a lot of videos. I just don't think they're up to quality, my level of quality. And then you see the videos I do post and it's like, really? That's up to your level of quality? It's like, well, no, but I had to post something.
Yeah. Well, you can go back to the like first videos I was posting and they're very, very crappy compared to what I do now. So, I mean, you just grow and change as you go. It's not, I think if anybody were going to like hold that against someone, then that's their problem. Like there's clearly something lacking in their life if they have time to even care about it.
So, I think like perhaps like since we have about 7 minutes left, we should talk about any future projects we have.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm going to keep doing my show. The third book, I'm going to be working on it, so it'll come out. But probably far before that is ever finished, I'm going to do the audiobook of Earth, A Trough in Time. But I super suggest Earth, A Trough in Time to anybody. It's a really fun story. I really like how it turned out. Sine Curve of Aeons was like less my sort of story, you know, like as a reader, if I was looking for a book, I would love it. It's a great book, but it wouldn't be what I would first like gravitate towards. So writing it was very strange, you know, because I was like, this is like barely even my genres that I'm into. But Earth, A Trough in Time is way more my sort of genres. I don't know. I shouldn't even say that. They're both my genre. I love them both, but Earth, A Trough in Time just like seems more fun and fast moving and action oriented. So I guess that's what I would say to people. And it's all about, you know, the rift between sort of good and evil within each person and within our society and throughout history. And technology plays a large role in that. And that's the interesting part to see come to life in the book too. And yeah, I think that's what I've got going on. I've got some more Orgonite curing right now. If you go to rogueways.org and look at the Orgonite I already have, I've got a whole new batch coming tomorrow. So that'll be added to the pile. If people like Orgone energy and Orgonite accumulators, then they can pick that up for probably the most affordable. You'll find it anywhere. I think everyone can agree on that. I have very cheap because I just do it for fun and I like to share it with people. So I make it very affordable. And yeah, that's all I've got going on.
I am currently reading out loud and doing the final self-edit of my book. That's a great way to edit. I am currently trying to get some artwork of different scenes from an artist, a very good artist, by the way. Like, I'm hoping to get at least one picture per chapter.
That's awesome. I love that. I love when books that are, you know, for adults, but they have pictures in them. Like, I love that. I think that's a cool way to do it.
I grew up reading really old books and watching really old movies, and I just like old things. So, like, this is kind of my love letter to classic literature. And
yeah.
I'm sticking in things like I'm not saying like they're Abbott and Costello, but like they're very similar.
Yeah,
they might be ancestors. Who knows?
But that's pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't know how many people listening to this will even know who Abbott and Costello is.
That's a great point.
Check out Abbott and Costello. They're really fantastic.
It'd be like one of those things that they probably do response videos for. So like kids now, they show them Abbott and Costello, and the kids are probably like, "What?"
Yeah.
This is so weird.
In terms of like my next book, I am trying to finish up the last few chapters of From B-list to A-list, the evolution of the genre picture.
Cool.
It's essentially like how things like the Buck Rogers old serials became Star Wars, how Captain Blood with Errol Flynn became Pirates of the Caribbean. Cool. Pretty much how the old B movies became the A-list movies we all pay to see now, or we used to pay to see, you know.
Yeah. I liked what you were doing for a while. You were making posts about like, does this look familiar? And like, here it is again, in a lot of movies and stuff. And that's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that was fun. That's going to be cool. You could make that into a video, and that would be a really cool YouTube video too.
It would be, actually.
Just even showing the pictures side by side and just narrating it, like, so people understood that nothing is new under the sun. It's all just recycled.
Well, there's new things you can do with the old stuff. That's the cool thing.
Absolutely. New combinations of the old pieces.
I don't know when this one will come out, but I'm currently trying to finish up a comic book script for a graphic novel. I call it Citizen Kong. If you read my 1,000+ pages of writing, you know that it's like, it was supposed to be like, in my writing, it was the biggest movie of 2011. It's like some random movie on some backwards channel in the middle of the night. And it's like, it stars a character I have in my writing, but she's playing another character. And like, it's really meta, but it's also really insane. Like, it took me about 10 years to get to this point, because I like to write what I call controlled insanity.
Yeah.
I call my writing controlled insanity. Well, if my writing is controlled insanity, then Citizen Kong is what I call concentrated insanity, or insanity
concentrated.
Yeah.
Like, take in small doses. I'm sure, and your writing and everything you do is sort of full of allusion to all the sort of greats and classics and, you know, film and literature, which is cool too.
I'm a fan of it. I'm a huge fan of it. At one point, I was trying to sell some of the stuff to Hollywood, but ultimately what I realized is I'm writing stuff for the wrong decade of Hollywood.
Yeah, you're born in the wrong century, and also Hollywood was only going to give access to you if you like kill people or babies, so you're never
Pretty
going to get
much.
there.
Pretty much. I'm not willing to do that stuff,
Right.
so
You're too good for that.
I just realized at some point, wait a minute, I can worry about like all the money I can put into my budget, or I can go into publishing where the written word has like an unlimited budget.
Yes, and where, you know, if you're doing it for the love of the art instead of you know, the money or the fame or whatever, then it's going to take you where you need to be taken anyway.
I am passionate about the art, but I wouldn't mind some money for it.
It'd be nice, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, my sine curve, I think I've made technically a grand total of like $200 off of, which is abysmal. And so far in Trough in Time, I think I've made like $3 off of. So,
well,
you know.
I'll share with you about a year's worth of research into book marketing I've done. I don't know if you know this, but like back in middle school and high school, I was running advertising campaigns for a multi-million-dollar business.
No.
I'd go like to Casey's, which is now the Goose, and I'd see my friends bagging bags, and here I'd be like running these advertising campaigns. It's like, yeah, it was interesting, but I've been catching up on about 15 to 16 years of advertising. I've been catching up to the digital age.
Ah, well, any tips you want to send my way, I'll take it and let me know. But yeah, I should sign off now.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you for being here. If you need to go, that's fine. But it's been nice talking with you. It's been a nice chat. Yes. I wouldn't mind doing this again sometime when you're available.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to try to find other people to have on if I'm able to. But thank you. Thank you so much for being on here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's fun to chat with you as always. I'm glad we made it work this time so that it, you know, could actually happen.
Check out Rogueways. It's a really interesting show, like lots of interesting subjects. And believe it or not, before we did this, I thought she planned out every episode.
Yeah, no. I just am really good at talking because I taught for 10 years. So I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I can fill up the space. No. I just really, what it really comes down to is I'm very curious about almost everything. So even if I don't know a person at all, I can usually talk to them for a while because I want to know everything about them and what they've done and why they've done it. And that is a show.
I'm going to say one last thing before we say goodbye. The Whidbeyverse, so far as I've been able to tell, is about 25 individual stories, which is funny because it used to be about 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, take care, Lindsey.
You too, Holland.
Good luck on your book sales. I will send you the marketing plan I came up with.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to check out more, go to rogueways.org and Holland will be in touch and we'll talk again.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. I am going to go off and try to continue to write or whatever I do during this virus epidemic thing. Everybody take care. Let's see. And remember, peace.